My family cut me out of my sister's wedding. I vanished to Greece, then watched her big day end in betrayal and tears. Stop being theatrical. It's only one day, my mother urged when I was not invited to my sister's wedding. Instead, I scheduled a trip. Days later, my phone kept calling. I didn't hear from her, not even an SMS. Lindsay, my cousin, revealed the secret at a family BBQ 3 months before the wedding. She nonchalantly asked, "Are you excited for Bella's big day?" While flipping a hot dog on the grill, as if she hadn't just sent a quake through my chest. I blinked at her. "What big day?" She laughed, thinking I was being sarcastic. The wedding." I forced a smile and excused myself to go check on the potato salad, which was really code for sitting in my car for 10 minutes and pretending the world hadn't suddenly shifted sideways. My younger sister Bella, the golden child from birth, was getting married, and I hadn't even gotten a save the date. It should not have shocked me. For much of my life, I had played the role of the dependable, invisible, elder brother. Bella has been the center of our universe since she was born. Dance recitals with front row seats, extravagant birthday parties with horses and bouncy castles, and even a semester abroad in Florence, all paid for by the same parents who informed me college wasn't in the budget when I was 17 years old. Meanwhile, aged 18, I worked full-time stocking shelves to help pay our power bill. But this stung more than I imagined. Not being invited to her wedding was not an oversight. It was purposeful, chilly, and humiliating in ways I couldn't quite describe. I kept it together for the remainder of the cookout, making small talk and smiling sweetly. But internally, I felt as if I were standing behind a glass wall, watching a family I hardly knew move on without me. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at my phone screen for 10 minutes before contacting my mother. She picked up the third ring, voice cheery. "Hey honey." "Hey," I said. "Quick question. Was there a reason I wasn't invited to Bella's wedding?" There was a pause followed by the clink of a spoon against a mug. "Oh, that?" "That?" I repeated. "Well," she said, as if she were talking about the weather. "It's Bella's special day. She wanted something small." "Small?" My voice cracked slightly. "You invited 40 cousins," I counted. Mom sighed. "Look, don't be dramatic. It's just one day." "Only one day." I'm not sure what I expected. Perhaps an apology, or at least some basic empathy. But all I got was the same dismissive tone she'd used hundreds of times before. The one that said, "Stop making this about you." I was 32 years old and felt like a ghost at my own family's table. I thanked her, hung up and stared at my ceiling in the dark for quite some time. But something about me had changed. I was finished. I'm tired of playing a supporting role in my own life. Done being the dependable sibling who showed up, paid his share, and remained silent. If they wanted me gone, I'd show them what it was really like. So I scheduled a trip. First class. Cliffside Villa, Greece. And that was only the beginning. I didn't inform anyone I was leaving, including my co-workers. I requested time off, packed light, and vanished from the group chat like a magician escaping a smoke cloud. 1 week before Bella's wedding, I flew to Athens and then took a connecting puddle jumper to a little island I couldn't pronounce. And let me tell you something. If you've never landed in Greece at golden hour, you're missing out on a religious experience. My mansion clung to the cliffside, as if it had grown from the rock. Whitewashed walls, a blue-domed roof, and a plunge pool overlooking the Aegean. I did not even take off my shoes. I just dropped my luggage, took a bottle of water from the fridge, and strolled directly onto the balcony, as if I'd lived there my entire life. And in that moment, I experienced something I hadn't felt in years. Tranquility. Real peace. Not the sort you pretend to have while nodding during family gatherings, not the one that comes with finally paying off your automobile. This was different. It was the kind that engulfed you in salty air and sunlight and said, "You don't owe anyone anything." Right now I don't. I did not post anything for the first 24 hours. I just lapped it in. But on the second day I shared a photo. No caption, no tag. Just me on the deck at sunset, with the water behind me painted in lavender and gold. I held a glass of wine, smiled slightly and clicked share. The reaction was quick. 3 dots from my mother in the family chat, typing, then gone. Bella viewed the story but did not contact me. My cousin Lindsay gave me the fire emoji. My aunt left a comment saying, "Living the dream." I did not respond to any of it. Instead, I scheduled a sunset yak cruise. By the third day I was eating freshly caught bass at a restaurant so delicious that I nearly cried into the tzatziki. I also shared that, just the plate, and the view. Allow them to piece it together. I never mentioned the wedding, her name, or hurled shade. That would have been too easy and clear. No, I wanted them to sense my absence because I didn't say anything. I knew what the wedding weekend looked like back home. Pastel dresses, monogram napkins, and perfectly produced images that screamed, perfect family. I envisioned them posing, clinking drinks, and pretending everything was just so. In each photo, there would be an empty spot. There was no brother of the bride, no toast from an older sibling, only a quiet void where someone should have been. Me. Let them ponder. Let them whisper. I didn't care anymore. I was finished waiting to be invited. This was my life, and I was going to live it, even if I had to do so alone. 3 days after the wedding, my phone started ringing. It began at 7:12 a.m., Greek time. My phone buzzed on the marble nightstand, jolting me awake with that strange vibration that always means something happened. I squinted at the screen. "Mom, you missed a call." Then another, "Aunt Carol." 2 missed calls, followed by 3, 4, and 5. From Uncle Mark, Bella's friend Rachel, and Dad's new wife Donna, of all people. I sat up straight, executing a slow, tight squeeze on my chest. I hadn't spoken to most of these folks in months, if not years, and now they were calling me like I had won the lottery or been arrested. My thoughts immediately looked for the worst-case scenario. Was anyone hurt? I unlocked my phone. 23 missed calls, 7 voicemails, and 4 text messages containing only versions of, "Call me now." My cousin Lindsay sent the first text that clarified anything. "Holy crap. Do you notice this? It is all over TikTok." I frowned. What was so popular on TikTok? She then gave a link, a 47-second video posted mere hours before. The thumbnail was hazy, but it resembled an event hall, with confetti on the floor and a woman dressed in white. I pressed play. The video began with turmoil, screaming, people rushing for the exits, and a woman in a bridesmaid dress throwing a bouquet. Not ceremonially, but directly in someone's face. The camera then went to the bride, Bella. She was sobbing and screaming something nonsensical at the other woman. One I recognized but couldn't identify. Until someone in the video exclaimed, "That's the maid of honor." I halted. Rewound. I watched it again. Sabrina, Bella's best friend, serves as the maid of honor. The groom then stood between them, hands raised as if attempting to defuse a bomb, while his now wife and another woman verbally shredded each other in front of 150 shocked guests. Despite the poor audio quality, I was able to understand the words. "He said he loved me, Bella. You nasty snake. You were meant to be my friend. And the last blow? We slept together while you planned this wedding." I sat there astonished, phone still in my hand. My sister's wedding had ended not with dancing, sparklers, or a limo, but with treachery, yelling, and a bridesmaid brawl, all captured on film. A video now has tens of thousands of views, and everyone in the family had begun phoning. Not to warn me. Not to apologize for what they had done. But they begged me to come home. By lunchtime, the calls had gone from frenetic to pathetic. My mother had left 6 voicemails by then, each one more desperate than the last. The third option stood out the most. She was crying, or pretending to cry. "Daniel," she sniffed. "Please. Your sister is in a mess. We need you here. The entire family is in pieces. You don't realize what this has done to us. To us. Not to Bella. Not for the bride whose wedding went off like a soap opera climax. United States. As if the family's reputation was the true tragedy." I sat on a sun-drenched terrace, barefoot, sipping Greek coffee as the waves whispered far below. It was almost too cinematic. The contrast of her hollow, cracking voice pouring out of my phone, while I watched sailboats meander over the horizon, as if they'd never heard of betrayal. Then came the text from my father, of all people, the one who once ordered me to man up, when I cried after being rejected from college. "Son, I understand things were stressful, but your sister is hurting. This is when family comes through. Family. That term had been weaponized so many times in my life that I no longer trusted its shape. For them, it only existed when I could be useful. When someone needed their bill paid. When something broke. Sturdy, dependable Daniel was there to quietly repair it. But now they could see what life was like without me. And there was stillness at Bella's wedding. The absence of her brother, the one who usually showed there even when no one asked him to, had finally broken the silence. I didn't answer immediately. I let the day slip by like a slow, golden dream. That evening, I shared another photo of myself at the helm of a yacht, a wine glass in hand, the wind tousling my hair, and the sky fading into gold and blushing behind me. There's no caption, no comment. Just me, happy, unreachable, and free. By midnight, I received a message from Bella herself. Not a call, but a message. I know I messed up. I should have invited you. I didn't think it would matter this much. Please. I need my brother right now. I stared at it for a long time. Not because it was touching, but because it was the first time in years she had spoken something genuine. Nonetheless, it wasn't enough. Not after a lifetime of being an afterthought, second priority, or spare. They were all currently learning the same lesson. When you ignore the one who keeps everything together long enough, they ultimately stop. I did not write back. Not for her. Not to any of them. Nonetheless, I read her message again the next morning. And the one after that. She followed up with, "Please just come home. We'll talk. I just need you here." A few years ago I would have undoubtedly booked a trip for that night. Purchased flowers. I stepped inside that house with open arms and a tight smile. The reliable son, solid brother, the person who cleaned up the mess after everyone else left it. But that version of myself, he did not go to Greece. I'd spent years learning how to carry things quietly. Bills, emotions, and apologies that never came. And now here I was, on a covered patio overlooking the sea, realizing that perhaps I didn't need to carry any of it anymore. They urged me to return home, not intended for closure, not to reconnect, but I had to play the same character they had created for me the day Bella was born, the brother who claps in the throng. The brother who gives up his savings when tuition arrives. The sibling who is ignored until he is required. I spent the morning swimming beneath a sky so blue it looked painted. I met a couple from Madrid who believed I was a travel writer. I did not correct them. We exchanged wine, stories, and laughed. Nobody inquired about my sister. Nobody cared that I had missed a wedding. And, for once, I did not feel guilty. That night, I sent just one message to my mother. "Tell Bella I hope she finds peace. But I'm not coming back. Not right now. Maybe not for a while. Maybe not at all." I noticed her reading it. No response. Just the kind of silence I grew up with. But this time it didn't sting. It felt like liberation. I raised a glass to the moonlit lake and muttered something to myself, quiet yet firm. Let them feel it. The interesting thing about silence is how fast people strive to fill it when they are not accustomed to it. Back home, I was the one who kept the wheels turning. I checked in. I sent out birthday cards. I recalled anniversaries that no one else did. I paid attention even when nobody asked me to. And when I stopped, they had no idea what to do. The communications did not stop. They just changed. Guilt gave way to flattery. "We've always admired how grounded you are. Your sister says you've always been the strong one. This family needs your example right now." Despite this, none of them had said anything. I'm sorry. Not for the years I was ignored. Not for expecting too much and delivering so little. Not for prioritizing Bella's comfort over my inclusion. And that told me all I needed to know. I spent the rest of the week as if I'd finally slipped out of my old shell. I walked ancient trails in Santorini. I stood atop volcanic cliffs, watching the water twinkle with stars. I ate olives and honeyed cheese on a balcony with strangers who became brief but lovely acquaintances. I didn't discuss my relatives. I did not need to. When I glanced around at the life I was creating, calm, lovely, and all mine, I recognized something simple, yet deep. I had never been happier. Not because I had escaped my family, but because I had finally quit performing for them. A week after the wedding debacle, I began hearing the stories. Not from my family, but from others surrounding them. Friends, distant cousins, and even my mother's former co-worker, who seemed to have followed me on Instagram. They came in like gentle whispers on the breeze. "Did you hear what happened at Bella's wedding? I saw the video. Can't believe she didn't see it coming. She looked destroyed, man. Groom dipped before the cake was cut." And behind it all, there was a subtle refrain murmured with skepticism. Why wasn't her brother there? It spread. It turns out that when you've been the stable one for a long time, your absence is more noticeable than your presence. For so long, they crafted this story around Bella's perfection. Picture-perfect bride, golden girl. And when it all came crashing down, when the fairy tale shattered on the dance floor in front of everyone she'd ever tried to please, I wasn't there to help her rebuild it. People noticed. Not simply because I was missing from the images, but also because for the first time, my absence had significance. I did not gloat. I did not make a comment. I didn't even nod when people brought it up, because I didn't have to. They were doing all of the work for me. The same folks who used to label me too quiet, too serious, and always out doing his own thing, now say, I get why he stayed away. It wasn't vengeance. Not really. It was reality, finally seen. It's weird how visibility functions. For years I remained in the background. The person who took the photograph was never the person in it. The person who stayed late to clean up, while everyone else raved about how great the party was. The sibling whose birthday was mentioned in a group text, if at all. And then, all of a sudden, people couldn't stop talking about me. Not because I said anything, but because I didn't. Back home, the aftermath of the wedding was still unfolding. The video has gone popular in certain parts of the internet. Nothing major, but enough that Bella's social circle felt ashamed for her. People started to unfollow her. Some bridesmaids removed their posts from the reception completely. It wasn't just the drama. It was how everything had been exposed. How the betrayal had played out publicly on her beautiful day. And yet the one person who could have given her some respect, her brother, wasn't present. And while she was attempting to recover what remained of her image, I was eating baklava on a shaded patio, a soft breeze lifting my linen shirt, as if the wind itself was trying to pat me on the back. I didn't post frequently, but when I did, the timing was deliberate. A photo of me sipping wine while the comments on Bella's wedding post grew toxic, and a sunrise trek captioned with a single word: freedom. Not tagged, not directed, but unmistakably felt. My mother's texts moved again, this time from pleading to bargaining. Your sister is struggling. Maybe you could call even for 5 minutes. She keeps asking if you're okay. This family is hurting. Please come home. It was nearly laughable. Where was all of this grace when I was hurting? When was I silently excluded from celebrations? When I watched Bella open costly gifts while I was given a card with no cash and an awkward smile. I did not disregard the texts. I didn't respond to them. Instead, I extended my trip by another week, and then another. I discovered a tiny island that is less well known. I rented a little studio apartment that smelled like salt and fresh paint. I bought groceries in the morning market. I learned how to ask for a coffee without sugar in broken Greek. Every morning the man at the corner bakery began calling me my friend, with a wink. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was fleeing from anything. I felt as if I had arrived, not just in Greece, but in a version of myself that I had never met. A version that didn't have to be anyone's fixer, favorite, or forgotten second-place winner. Simply a man sitting under a fig tree, finally breathing without apology. It arrived late at night, nearly 2 weeks after the wedding. The screen displayed my mother's name. I let it ring twice just to assure myself that I didn't have to respond. But this time I did. Daniel, she replied, her voice soft. Hi, Mom. Silence extended. I could hear her breathing, like if she were trying to find the correct script. But there was none this time. I had already departed the stage. She's not doing well, she said finally. She doesn't leave the house, barely speaks. I'm sorry to hear that, I responded, and meant it, mostly. I just wish you were here, she said. I peered at the dark window in front of me, the gentle clinking of a breeze-touched bell echoing from a neighbor's balcony. I was there for years, I murmured gently. You just didn't notice me. She did not argue. did not deny it. That silence was the first honest thing she had said in a long time. "Are you coming home?" she inquired. I smiled faintly, gazing out at the serenity of the Aegean. "No," I replied. "I think I'm finally home." The next morning I strolled barefoot down to the beach. No alerts, no missed calls. Just waves brushing the sand, like they had done before I arrived and would continue to do so after I departed. I stood at the edge of the water, letting it wash over my feet, and felt something I hadn't realized I was missing. Lightness. No more proving my worth to those who only saw it after I was gone. No more waiting for apologies that never arrived. I didn't have to burn bridges. I simply needed to quit crossing them. And when the light rose over the sea, warm and steady, I finally realized, sometimes the best form of vengeance is peace. And I was only getting started.